So, while many people claim to be strong, fast, or they know how to fight, the animal kingdom will always offer some kind of animal to top these human feats. So tonight we're going to talk about two of nature's fiercest, the Kodiak bear and the gorilla. So now, we'll also be discussing why the Kodiak bear will be able to defeat the gorilla in a fight. So, this research is kind of a combination of, just discussions with friends, which carried on into more of a curiosity of the topic. So I looked into it with a little bit of actual wrestling and fighting experience myself. I do believe it gives me a right to talk about this in an informed manner. So we'll first go over the behavior of the two animals, the physical traits, and then the fighting styles and how they match up. So Kodiak bears, they do have slightly less confrontation in nature with other bears than compared to gorillas. They live in the southwest corner of Alaska off what's called Kodiak Island. They came over there during the Ice Age. Now they live in solidarity, don't live in packs or families, except for the mothers who have their cubs. But they do migrate into areas where the populations are a little more dense when food's scarce. And generally they can tolerate each other if areas have enough food. However, bears will fight mostly when food is scarce and to protect cubs. So, gorillas. They travel in what's called troops, which is basically a pack. It consists of average of 9.2 gorillas. Gorillas do tend to fight more often in troops, however, there's different kinds of troops. So if there's an all-male troop, gorillas actually get along fantastically. There's not much fighting. However, when you add females into the group, there tends to be a lot more fighting between males. Now, fighting doesn't always mean physical. It often does with gorillas, and in just chest beating and noises to intimidate the other gorilla. One thing to clarify, what's called the silverback gorilla, it's not a breeded gorilla. It's what's known as the alpha male. So every troop has a silverback. Once a silverback becomes old, weak, or leaves the troop, the next strongest males will either fight physically or just intimidate each other to determine a new silverback. All right, real quick, we'll go over the traits of the animals. So, the bear. The bear can get up to 1,320 pounds. Reach speeds up to 35 miles an hour, 9.8 feet tall, up to 10 feet actually in some cases. And the big attribute for the bear is its 6-inch claws, which it does use mostly for digging. However, it can use them, and it can be advantageous in the fights. So the build of the bear, most of the muscle is located around the hips, the upper thighs. It gives it very good ability to stand upright, and also they have very muscular upper backs, which is mostly comes from carrying around that 1,300 pounds when they're crawling around and from climbing. Now on to the gorilla. So 300 to 400 pounds. Usually the silverback will be about 400 pounds in nature. His feet, they can get up to 5 feet 11 inches tall. They can reach speeds up to 25 miles per hour, and the wingspan of the gorilla is one of the best attributes. That can reach up to 8 foot 6 inches. Now another large, really good attribute for the gorilla is it's kind of dense, compact muscle structure. So you're going to see there's a lot of muscle in the pecs, the abdominal area, and the arms, mostly for climbing. As gorillas do have long arms, they do crawl kind of like bears, but they also do have really good strength for climbing. Okay, now we're going to go over the fighting style real quick. We'll start with the gorilla. So biggest attributes are really the speed and stamina of the gorilla. And as we went over earlier, the bear flatline speed can go faster, but the gorilla tends to be a little more agile because of its size. The main goal, if the gorilla actually gets into a physical fight, is to bite the opponent. Now, they're very aggressive creatures, but during a fight, they can be very. They're pretty smart fighters. They're very defensive with their fists. So now, when people usually argue about this topic about who'd win a fight, they say the gorilla can punch very hard. Now, that's somewhat true, but the gorilla uses a punch more of a rod to keep its distance. So gorillas will go at each other. They won't clinch up, but they'll keep distance with punches and try to land bites at each other's necks. So now, we're going to do a real quick demonstration. One of the gorilla's main moves is what's called, in wrestling, is a snap down. So it's real basic. I'll demonstrate it and then talk about how the gorilla uses it. So in wrestling, it would look just like this. You bring the opponent down and you'd be able to reach his back, right? So in wrestling, this is done from a tie-up. However, the gorilla will use his fist as a ramrod, try to bite the opponent, and also do downward fists, which land usually in the back of the neck, which will cause the opponent to either hit the ground or will at least stun the opponent because of how many nerve endings are in the back of the head. It is important also to note when gorillas fight, they do not clasp or choke their opponents. We'll go over this a little bit later in the matchup, but there are kind of things that have to be taught. And it's not an instinctive thing for a gorilla to do. Now, real quick, Kodiak bear fighting style. They actually have very good stand-up grappling. Now, obviously, their large size is a huge factor, but they do fight standing up typically. And versus the difference between this and the gorilla fighting style, the bears will tie up instantly, whereas gorillas will keep their distance a little bit more. It's very important to note also, because of the same grappling experience or grappling skill the bear has on its feet, it also has on the ground. So just because a bear is brought to its back doesn't mean it's out for the count. They have very good natural ability to create distance using their paws, get their feet on the hip of the opponent, push them away, and land very effective bites from the bottom. Joe, real quick. So I'll demonstrate, this is called a throw by. It's very commonly used in wrestling, and it's kind of similar to what the bear uses. I'll demonstrate and show you guys what it means in a little bit. So basically, Joe, come in to me just a little bit. Yep. Really simple move. All it is involves throwing the shoulder over across your body. Now, this can result in two things. One, either the opponent will be brought to its back, where the bear will then attack, or the opponent will simply be showing its back to the bear, which means it's still upright, but the bear is now behind it, which is then where the bear can land very effective bites. So let's match it up. Okay. So it's really important to note here that intelligence in nature, as far as fighting, isn't as big of a factor as people might like to argue. This is really evident in humans because fighting is not a result of intelligence. However, it's a result of repetitive technique, repetitive practice, and studying of specific techniques, not so much cognitive ability. Now, the biggest thing would be the gorilla would be moving around a lot more than the bear, would go side to side, in and out, trying to land the same push punches as it does with the gorillas, and trying to land bites. However, the biggest problem with this is the height of the bear when it's fighting. When it's standing up 10 feet tall, the gorilla's not going to be able to land a bite to the neck. So at this point, all it's going to be able to do is throw its punches. What we demonstrated earlier, the snap down, wouldn't work on the bear at 10 feet tall. So the gorilla would come in and out. Each time the gorilla comes in and out, the bear would be landing its own strikes, more so to try to grab hold of the gorilla using its claws. And eventually it would grab hold, and I do believe at that point it would go for the back of the neck, usually do a throw by. And whether or not the gorilla goes to its back or just stays up and shows its back, it wouldn't matter at this point. Actually, this is where the gorilla's speed agility might hurt it, because an agile human or monkey in wrestling, if a throw by is used on it, the agile, more athletic thing, escape, would be to stay on your feet and go, move away. The biggest problem with this is now that the gorilla has its back shown to a much larger opponent, which much larger reach, the bear would easily be able to grab hold of it and just land strikes to the back of the neck. Okay, so we talked about the fighting styles. I will admit the gorilla, I do believe, is a better pound-for-pound fighter, but that's not what we're talking about. So the thing is, comparing these two side to side in categories where the gorilla has a bear beat, such as agility, it's only by a small margin. However, with the bear's much larger size, I do believe that the bear would win by a long shot. All right, thanks guys.